EU officials are in the United States trying to talk over how they can exit Russian oil faster. Electricity prices continue to be an issue, specifically in the upper Midwest, where things are picking up momentum. And Foreign Policy Magazine, with one of the most interesting articles I've read in a long time about how to solve the current electrical crisis. Hey everybody, Joe Bertel for Prosody Group and Running Energy. Hope your days are off to a great start. I personally led my F3 guys in a September 11th themed boot camp this morning, and hope you're all taking a moment to remember the heroes we lost. On to the news. Amidst the threat of U.S. sanctions, the EU and U.S. officials are in talks about how the countries involved can divest themselves of Russian oil a little faster. Now, look, the whole idea here is the Russian economy and war machine is being driven by the EU, India, and China buying their oil. Now, President Trump has already threatened 100% sanctions against India and China as a result of buying that oil. I don't see it happening anytime soon. EU is a possibility, but reality of it is that China and India are likely going to continue buying that oil supply unless something significant changes. We'll see what happens there. The electricity price issue is going to continue, guys. There's no real end in sight. I thought that Axios Generate, the morning energy newsletter that they do, always excellent, really ran down the problems pretty well, specifically flares this week in Indiana, which we've talked about, as well as in New Jersey. Look, keep in mind, guys, we've got 36 gubernatorial elections next year. This is going to continue to be an issue that gets addressed. Now, what will be interesting is to kind of figure out the public affairs and lobbying jujitsu as to who ends up holding the bag for the blame. Reality of it is that we did not build any utility infrastructure, and that utilities stand to gain the most from new infrastructure being built. But a really interesting article from Foreign Policy this week that I would really encourage you guys to read really nails the fact that, look, we have capacity. We have the capability of producing more power, but that the U.S. power infrastructure has essentially been built for peaks and valleys, periods of high demand, a cold snap, a heat wave. What happens if we were just to take a look at running our energy system more efficiently, making sure that we use what we have before we build a lot more infrastructure? Now, worth noting, the way that utility rate bases are built, when they build infrastructure, they get to fold into their rate base and add it to their profit center. They stand to profit by more infrastructure being built. Moreover, they see this as a generational opportunity to build out all the infrastructure they want, more capacity, etc., while hopefully having somebody like the hyperscalers pick up the bill. It's more complicated than that. Don't at me, but that's kind of the long and the short of it. Look, here's the reality. Number one, data centers have been around for a long time before AI. They already power stuff like public safety radio, which we know was such a big issue in September 11th. They power things like systems in your hospitals and other places of care, etc. But AI data centers are a bit of a game changer. Who ends up holding the bag there? To be seen, but there's going to be no lack of reporting about it. Either way, take a look at that Foreign Policy magazine piece today. I thought it was excellent. Let's keep an eye on all those energy stories. And again, take a moment to remember the heroes of 9/11. Never forget means never forget. You'll note that I posted my own piece from years ago advocating for 9/11 to be a national holiday. I still feel that way. Thanks. Bye-bye.